Hi, and this is Jody Wilcox back for part 2 of week 1's task to create a 45-minute video on why some teachers do not choose to make decisions that facilitate technology integration in their courses. The last time doing the why do teachers do choose, I did find a lot of reasons why they didn't, so I'm going to go back and visit some of those sites. Again, I also have set up reasons for not using technology integration in my Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and go back to the very last article that I was on when I was wrapping up why teachers use it. This was an article about teachers' beliefs in technology integration practices, and I'm going to scroll back down approximately, if I can find where I was before. They were collecting data on why some teachers used it and why some teachers did not. Notice here they kind of put their what types of degrees, what grade they taught, and that type of thing. So I'm going to scroll down just a little bit further. Okay, results. Barriers to technology integration. Okay, it says teachers were asked to rate on a scale from 1 of not at all to 5 very much the extent to which various barriers impacted their students' use of technology. Although average ratings suggest that none of these barriers were particularly impactful, it is important to remember who our participants were. This suggests that although these teachers still experienced barriers, they often found ways to work around them, and which kind of reduced the overall impact of their practices. All right. The top 3. Let's see. The teachers' own attitudes and beliefs received an average score of 1, meaning that all 12 teachers believed that their own attitudes and beliefs were not a barrier to their student use. But I kind of think that a teacher's attitude and beliefs does play a role. But see, it says technology has to be the centerpiece or one of the centerpieces. That's my big belief. The third lowest rated barrier, teachers indicated that their own knowledge and skills was not a barrier to their students' use of technology. All right, so I wonder what they said was the biggest barrier. So let's scroll down. Okay, when asked to name the biggest barrier, so I'm right here, overall to technology integrations in their schools, 3 teachers mentioned external barriers while 9 described other teachers' internal barriers. And here we go, lack of administrative or technical support, while 1 mentioned the strong focus of state assessments. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and so if I'm putting together points that I want to bring up at a meeting about why some teachers do not choose to integrate, I'm going to say lack of administrative or technical support as being one of those reasons. So I'm just going to, going to copy that, but I'm not sure why I was not getting my copy and paste. The lack of, and I'll go over here again. I'm not getting my copy. I don't know why. I know I did that earlier. The lack of administrative support. Okay, so I can't do that. So I'm just going to go over and type it in. Would help if I spelled right. Administrative support. And again, I didn't get that spelled right, which is okay because we had spell check. Lack of administrative support, and then I think the technical support actually could be its own separate, issue. So I'm going to set those two up like that, and I'm going to hop back over and see what more I can find. Oops, excuse me, I just hit my microphone. Many teachers view this as one more thing to do. I think that's important to note that some teachers really get solid into their practices of what they teach, and you know, we all are overwhelmed. We are all overwhelmed by testing, accountability towards that testing, the Common Core. That, you know, it's this one more thing that people don't have time to get into place. Oh, here we go, what I said before. They asked teachers to describe the biggest enablers to their technology integration practices. 5 teachers, now this is enablers, mentioned internal factors, which are their own attitudes towards technology. So that would have gone in my other previous report. You know, and it really probably depends on your school district. Some school districts may be very supportive and provide a lot of PD to show teachers the best way to use the technology integration, and then other school districts are not equipping their teachers as well. All right, I know that I saw some other information in here that I wanted to highlight, and it looks like let's see, for example, teachers who believe that technology was best used for collaboration described interesting projects in which students collaborated with local and distant peers. But teachers who believe that technology provided more opportunities for student choice described examples in which students chose to demonstrate their learning using a variety of technology tools. So I guess here they're just kind of saying that, you know, depending on what you feel is the best way of using technology is what's going to happen. It's all kind of relative to your own personal beliefs and attitudes. Okay, this would have been a good argument to add to my other paper about how more and more young people are now deeply and permanently technologically enhanced, connected to their peers in ways that no generations have before. And I do agree with that. Impact of barriers. Here we go. Oops. The primary barriers, at least for these teachers, tended to be first order or external rather than second order, which is internal to the teachers. Every teacher rated their attitudes and beliefs as not a barrier, in fact. 5 teachers indicated that one of the most influential factors enabling them to integrate technology was their own attitudes and beliefs. So let's scroll down. This suggests that the best way to bring more teachers on board is not by eliminating more first-order barriers, but by increasing knowledge and skills. In turn, will change teachers' attitudes and beliefs. All right. Teachers view their own attitudes and beliefs as the least impactful barrier, but the attitude and beliefs of others as the most impactful. What does that mean? That is, while their beliefs did not impede their integration of technology, other teachers' technology attitudes and beliefs were the strongest barrier to the integration of technology within schools. Interesting. Okay, so here's a study that found that the relationship between teachers' degree of constructivism and their levels of technology use found that more constructivist practices and beliefs were significant predictors of technology use. It is important to remember that when teachers begin the process of implementing new, I know I don't know, it's not pedagogic, I can't say that, pedagogical approaches, first order barriers may more easily impede the enactment of new as opposed to more established beliefs. This seemed particularly true for at least one teacher in the study whose beliefs appear to be in transition. Even in situations in which positive changes in teachers' attitude and practice is reported, it can still take several years to reach full implementation, and the first year can require a steep learning curve. A barrier threshold. If you can't surmount the barrier threshold, practices are limited despite beliefs. Okay. As illustrated by this discrepant case in our study, the teacher working in a school with very limited access to technology had difficulty aligning her beliefs with practice. An alternative explanation, however, is that different and weightier beliefs were underlying current practices. Okay, there are some people who don't use technology because they're intimidated by it. I'm going to copy that. Not that that's the biggest point out of all that I just read, but it is very true that many teachers don't use it because they are intimidated by it. I mentioned in my previous research that some teachers build walls around their ability to incorporate other things within their lessons. All right, I'm gonna just skip out of this article for now. I know that there's more here that bears reading, but I didn't want to spend all of my time on this particular article. So again, I already have the link to this on my other page, but I'm just going to go ahead and put the reminder of the name of this article, and I've already got the link to it on my other page, so I can always go back to that. And again, I can't spell, and so there we go. Article, okay, and I've got the link in another one. So now I'm going to go back and I'm going to, I bookmarked a couple of sites last time, and I'm going to actually open, if I figure out what I'm doing here. I would like to go to my bookmarks right here. Here we go. And I want to, lost it. And I want to scroll to where I put my educational technology folder. And I have more in here than what I realized. Okay, here were the other pieces I added. So let's go to this one. Technology implementation in schools, key factors to consider. This is the one, if I recall, had quite a lot of reasons why schools were not really integrating technology to their full potential. Because it said, I remember this one said that 95% of schools are connected to the internet. But despite all of that, there was a big gap between its actual usage in the classroom. All right, so I'm going to scroll down. Some teachers feel that new technologies are unproven in the classroom. So I do believe that could be a factor. For some teachers, I don't know if that's particularly true for all teachers, but again, not all of these points will be true for each and every person. There are some teachers that if the use of something isn't proven, then they don't want to try it out, and they're hesitant to actually give it a try. Whereas, you can try something. If it doesn't work, you can switch and use something different. Kind of like this class. I know that previously, not this particular class, but the other class that this professor, and I'm only thinking of Michael, I don't, just Schreier, is that how you say your last name? Anyways, I'm thinking about how before previously we had our class posted mostly on Blackboard, whereas this time around we're using EduBlog. And I actually really do like and enjoy this format a lot better, but you know how you just have to try different things. You can present information in many different ways, and I do like this this type of setup for your class. Alright, so back to our article. Okay, so teachers feel that it's unproven, though there has been a great deal of research on the efficacy of technology tools for teaching and learning. Many of these studies may not translate well to the reality of the classroom. According to the stages of implementation and understanding the design, schools may find themselves stuck in a series of initial implementation efforts, trying one thing after another and not achieving full implementation of a program. That's true. I haven't seen it in the school that I'm working on, but sometimes maybe we try to do, I guess my interpretation would be we try to do too much, and we do this and we do this and we do this without really becoming strong. And I like how the next sentence is you know, just a high quality implementation of each types of technology. If schools want to use technology to enforce student learning, then it's important to address these issues. Teachers are inundated with new initiatives every year. Yes, that's true. New ideas come and go and are rarely sustainable, and unfortunately that is sometimes true as well. To avoid initiative fatigue, schools must focus not only on introducing new technology, but also on implementing and scaling up new technologies. I think that is very true. Alright, so let's scroll down and let's see what other factors. Okay, professional development. I see this right here. Where did it go? Okay, that this is kind of becoming less of an issue now that more teachers have begun to learn about technology tools in pre-service training. I do find that it's the older spectrum of the teachers that have the harder time implementing technology. I know when I taught in Onsted about 5 years ago, you know, being that I wasn't at the younger end of teaching at the time, I was like 39, 40, but I had a good understanding or a good grasp of technology at that time and tried new things. I had a smart board in my classroom. So there's those teachers that were a little bit older than me that usually came to me to explain to them how to use certain technologies. They wanted to, but they just couldn't understand it. I mean, they had a hard time even just navigating their email accounts, let alone navigating other instructional technology programs. So that could be a hindrance. But as the younger teachers are coming in and have that training, you're probably not going to see that or notice that as much. Alright, so I'm going to put oops. I'm going to hop over though and say that another reason is going to be lack of professional development. Okay, and then I think that adding the follow-up factor as well is crucial, meaning, okay, you give the professional development, but then there's no follow-up afterwards. I think that's something to make sure to include. That's important. Oops, I keep messing up with my scrolling here. Alright. And here it looks like all of this is all about professional development. Here's again going back to that same thought before about leadership and administration taking a role in the development of that technology. I like this. The building principal attended every training meeting and workshop with the classroom teachers, orchestrated release time so teachers could plan together, and help to coordinate efforts with other relevant staff. I think that's important. This involvement on the part of the school principal has ensured that teachers feel that they have the time to make necessary changes in their teaching in order to use technology to differentiate instruction. Her willingness to create and protect time also communicates to teachers that technology integration is a priority. Yeah, I think that's huge. That's very important. If you know it's a priority within your school, and you know that your principal is on your side, your administration, and they're doing everything that they can to make sure that you understand and you're given the resources that you need to implement that technology, I think that makes a huge difference. Here's something about the resources and support. Now I did click and copy earlier about the technology support, and this would be having somebody handy that would be able to, and it costs time, money, and staff is needed to carry out all educational interventions and several different types of support. And oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to go back. I'm going to hop back over. I just want to copy this and put this underneath of this technical support piece, because it's not, although that was underneath of a different article. So let me bring it down here. I'm just going to add this, and then later if I'm putting together a report, I would add those 2 points together just as extra support. Okay, so click on that. Alright, coming back over, I know I saw some other things in this article that okay, here's something. With any school change effort, support from the larger community to give technology implementation a boost. Community support can come from various sources, so we could have a lack of community support. We need the support of key stakeholders. Sometimes change costs money, and I think it's important to note that that also can be a hindrance. Now, I guess I'm getting kind of broad on my search here, not necessarily focusing just on reasons why a teacher would not integrate technology. So I think I need to save my link again for this article, and I need to start looking for something that relates specifically to a teacher choosing to integrate or to not integrate. This is starting to sound, what I've got so far, a little bit more along the lines of why a school as a whole or a school district, but not necessarily on the part of the teacher. Alright, so let me go back. I had one other, I believe, article. I did it again. Another article that I had bookmarked that I wanted to come back to. I need to move this back to the top of my page, but I think it was this one right here. So let's see what else. Yes, integrating technology with student-centered learning. I did like this article, and I'm just going to come back to it because I thought that it gave a good overview of the pros and the cons. And let's start looking here. To be widely adopted, technology must be part of a comprehensive and systematic effort to change education. I think I read this before. And this report provides a candid look at the potential technology offers and the steps needed to better understand when technology is most effective in a student-centered learning and for whom. Okay. Let's go down because I know that there were some reasons why challenges right here. Integrating technology into educational practices has proven to be a slow and complex process. In fact, it can take 4 or more years from the time new technologies are first introduced to the point when changes can be observed in students. So I'm wondering to myself, do people actually give something that much time, observe even in that much time to see if those changes are occurring? To date, the most prevalent barriers to successful integration include organizational support, teachers' attitudes and expectations, and technology itself. I think this first point right here, school culture and structure don't support specific uses of technology. This goes back to the lack of support by several people within the district that I mentioned before. Most teachers lack confidence in technology as well as their technology skills. Okay, so I'm gonna transfer that over into my ideas of what I would share, because teachers lack confidence. Because I don't believe, well, that could go along with the intimidation factor, being intimidated by the technologies. And I think lack of confidence also goes back towards professional development. All right, only 23% of teachers surveyed feel prepared to integrate technology. Those who use technology do so primarily to present information rather than provide hands-on learning for students. I think that's true. I think a lot of teachers do use it to present information, when really too many teachers are kind of stuck in the role of they have to be the one providing the learning. The teacher lectures and the student listens and learns instead of having hands-on learning for students. It's a kind of shift in thinking of who's controlling the learning and who's facilitating. Teachers do need to take more of a facilitator role. I have to say it's hard depending on the type of students that you have in your classroom. That can be very hard. Here it says others are uncomfortable. Let me open my screen back up again. Others are uncomfortable with investing in instructional time to deal with possible equipment failures. All right. Oops. Let's see. Okay, uncomfortable with or slow internet access. Okay, so again, that kind of goes to a district implementation of having everything in place to adequately provide fast internet for their classrooms. So that can be a problem. The investment of time. I like how they the investment of instructional time to deal with possible equipment failures. That's true. Go back up to the top. So here's the conclusion. They really didn't list a ton of challenges in here. Let's see. It seems to me, when I see this about too many students leave high school without the knowledge and skills they need for success in further education or the workplace. And again, I think for a lot of districts, it just comes down to money and having the money to implement enough laptops for student use, or iPads for each student being able to have an iPad to use. I just wish my school even had a computer lab that I could go to whenever I wanted to work on something, and everything's already set up. Whereas my school currently has a computer class in which the lab is set up, but it's being used all day for teaching different grade levels. So they do get maybe 45 minutes of instruction once a week, but that's not enough. And if I wanted to integrate more technology and more student-centered learning within the classroom, I need better access to those resources. All right. I'm just going to scroll down and see if there's anything more here. All right, I think that I'm going to move on. Let's see. All right, I think this is just oh, this is an interesting fact. 60% of teachers reported that they use technology in the classroom, but only 26% of the students indicated they're encouraged to use technology themselves. So, teachers are using some technology, but they're not necessarily allowing their students to use them. So again, that needs to change. And then why is that occurring? I know in my school culture, there are families who have no internet or no computer at home. It's hard for me to imagine that. It's hard for me to understand that, but it depends on, Battle Creek is the school district area that I'm in, and it's there's it's kind of somewhat of an inner city school culture there that lacks the resources and finances to be able to pay for something like that. Although they do have cell phones. Okay, teachers' attitudes towards and expertise with technology have been identified as key factors associated with technology use in the classroom. Teachers need to hold a positive attitude towards technology in order to use it effectively in their teaching. Teachers must not only be familiar with how to operate equipment, but also understand how these tools are effectively used in the subjects they teach, and how to incorporate resources into classroom activities that accomplish important learning goals. They often lack some of the knowledge and skills required to support teaching and learning. Teachers need ongoing professional development to keep up with how professionals are using technology in the subjects they teach and better understand the essential role that technology plays. That makes me think of, we should have professional development set up. And the one thing I like about NHA schools where I teach at Endeavor Charter Academy, which falls underneath the National Heritage Academies. And we do come together with other schools within the state of Michigan and meet and talk. But I think that having a chance to meet and the specific topic of conversation is how we are using technology within the classroom, how we're using it within the lessons that we have, would be huge. Because if you have one teacher and they present it and teach it to others, I think the comfort level and the willingness to accept it and try it would be maybe easier for some teachers to accept coming from another teacher rather than some other professional person coming in and just trying to teach it to you that has, real no investment in the education process, if that makes sense. All right. Only 20% of states require technology training or testing for recertification or participation in technology-related professional development. Okay, so I would was thinking that I was going to go back and add. Okay, so their lack of confidence or attitude towards technology. I'm just going to add that in there. Okay. Technology itself has been identified as a potential barrier to technology integration. Bandwidth can be unreliable. Teachers do not feel comfortable spending valuable instructional time dealing with equipment failures. And continual changes make it difficult for teachers to keep up. I agree with that. I think I would add that as true in an ever and constant changing, things are always changing. Curriculum's changing, technology's changing, programs to use change all the time. I think that's where it's important for teachers to subscribe to some sort of a technology magazine, like an educator's, I want to say, not educators, Edutopia, there we go. I read that all the time, but maybe teachers need to start subscribing to these types of things that they give great ideas of how to easily integrate tools within the classroom. Okay, so I think I'm done with this article. I'm going to go ahead and insert my link, and I'm going to put that in here. Again, I already have the rest of the information in my other page, so I'm just going to insert the link for that, and I can come back to it. Alright, so moving on, I want to just see, we're at 37 minutes. Okay, let's see if we can find another article. So I'm going to just go back to Google and lack of technology integration, the continuing challenges. Let's see what we can find in this article. Okay. Again, most professional development programs have not provided teachers with the knowledge or experience, so that's something that we've read before. I'd really like to find something new and different I haven't heard of before. I think I've heard of most of these things. Little energy left to integrate the technology. I like the way they phrase that, and I've already stated uncomfortable, lacking confidence, the investment of the instructional time. I like the way that they say, though, that there's little energy. Our job seems to be, there's so many things to try to fit in. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming as to how to fit it all. I think teachers just sometimes give up because they're tired. And that's just my opinion. Technology facilitators focus on the bells and whistles of software, leaving participants with a false sense of knowledge of the potential of the software for teaching and learning. The attractions that computers initially presented for teachers were as varied as those who attempted to use them. Teachers must understand that computer applications more completely to use the computer as a tool for learning. All right. scroll down and see if there's anything new that I haven't. Inhibitors of technology integration. Lack of support, time, leadership, collaboration. I'm going to add the word collaboration. I don't believe that I've mentioned that before. As far as adding that, I think that the time to the lack of collaboration with peers. I think that that's important to take note. Sorry, again, I think I just hit my microphone. The evolution of technology created other challenges for teachers as they struggle to keep up with the speed of the technology changes. We already kind of mentioned that. Teachers viewed computer technology as a disconnect. A disconnect means that the teachers see no relevance between what the student needs to know and what they can construct, find, or ponder with computer technology. You know, the thing is that they're going to be expected to perform in jobs very differently, I think, than what we might have been. Well, obviously a lot different than when I would have gotten out of college to get a job. Educators today need to separate themselves from the past and accept technology as an integral part of the education of 21st century. That is true for that older generation, I believe. There are so many student activities. All you have to do is do a search on the web and something comes up that you can use to integrate. It's not like they're not out there. The idea is waiting for you. The largest problem that remains in education today is connecting technology to the curriculum content and to the learning processes. Schools need a staff development model that assists teachers in understanding technology as a tool for connecting curriculum content to the learning process. I like that. I like how that's stated. All right. Alright, we need to start where the teachers are in their own understandings. We want teachers to view technology as a transparent tool. They need to recognize technology as an instrument in their tool chest. Computers need to be part of daily classroom activities to make technology transparent. Moreover, we believe that teachers should not have students involved with technology for technology's sake only. It is necessary to initially understand and organize the content of the curriculum by grade level. I wish I could integrate technology on a daily basis. And I don't mean like my use of technology in front of them. I use my elbow. I use things online, but I want the hands-on stuff. I wish that my students each had access to something, to the internet, each one. Even partners, but it just isn't the case right now. Alright, so I'm just going to scroll down to see if I can find anything else that's talking about curricular mapping. Alright, I'm going to go back to my Google search and see if I can find another article. Right, here's one from 2012, Struggling with Educators' Lack of Technology Fluency. And I see that my time is just about up. And I see that this one doesn't really say anything about it's just talking about the fact that there still is a disconnect, teachers not knowing how to work their internet browser. They struggle with copying and pasting. I hear you on that one. Some people just can't do that. They get confused. They don't conceptually understand the difference between their browser's Google search box and the box where they can actually type in the URL and get there directly. Yeah, that is true for some of the older generation. All right, well, I am out of time, and this is the topic that I find very interesting, but nothing I found is of any surprise. I mean, pretty much everything that I have written down, lack of support, technical support, administrative support, not having time, intimidated by that lack of money to supply support, as well as I would say even as well as the actual technology themselves, lack of confidence, equipment failures, like my school with the laptop cart being reduced down to like 15 working laptops at the moment when you have classroom sizes of 26, and then continual changes and innovations that's hard to keep up with, and lack of collaboration. I think these are all a lot of reasons why teachers would not be using or facilitating technology integration into their classroom. All right, so hopefully you were able to follow me in my thought process of how I did the research for this, and I'm sure we'll be talking again later. Bye.